Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Make Money Your Honey TV. Today we're going to be talking about the F word. What F word are we talking about today? We are talking about follow-up, and specifically, we're going to talk about the things you need to stop doing when you're trying to follow up with potential clients. Before diving into today's video, welcome to Make Money Your Honey TV. If you're new, welcome to the Honey Crew. If you're returning, welcome back. My name is Amanda Obeya. I'm the CEO and founder of Make Money Your Honey. We are a marketing and sales training company specifically for women coaches, course creators, and service providers who are ready to scale their businesses through high-ticket scalable offers by mastering marketing systems and marketing skills, and most importantly, slaying their sales. And sales is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, specifically the follow-up portion of sales. And boy, do I have some stories to share with you today about what not to do. So if these kinds of videos interest you, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because we have new videos coming out every week. And if you're a woman coach or course creator, then I cordially invite you to join us in our free Facebook group called High Ticket Sales for Women Coaches and Course Creators. We have free trainings every single week, and we've got some cool activities that we are planning out and some future online events. So I'd love to see you in there. Come network with, there's over 1,600 people in there. Come network with us. Come hang out with us. Come join us in the full in-depth trainings. And without further ado, let's dive right in, because a lot of you are leaving a lot of money on the table because you do not understand the particular concept that I'm going to be teaching today. All right, guys, so let's talk about the F word. Let's talk about follow-up. Why is follow-up so important? I'm going to share some stats with you why this matters so much to your bottom line. So, did you know that only 2% of sales are made on the first contact? Yep, just 2%. So those of you who are wondering, why did I post on my social media, no one bought anything? That's why. And 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So what does this mean for you? It means that you're probably leaving tons of money on the table. And here's another interesting stat. Only 48% of salespeople ever follow up with a prospect. That means that almost half of salespeople, and I'm willing to bet business, in fact, I'm not willing to bet, I know business owners as well. And if you own a business, make no mistake, you are in sales. So that means almost half of people in sales are not ever following up with prospects. This is crazy. This is tons of money being left on the table, and I know exactly why this is happening. So reason number one is bad training. Just bad training. Completely horrific, horrible sales training. How do I know this? One of our recent clients in Persuade to Profit let me know that she had trainers and business coaches who had told her that if a prospect told her no on the phone, not to even bother following up because they probably weren't a good lead. Listen, that could not be further from the truth. Sometimes things happen, sometimes people get busy, sometimes they got a kid crawling up their leg, sometimes they're distracted, sometimes they just have real human considerations, and that's okay, right? So that is absolutely false. I just shared the stat that 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So if you're not following up at all because somebody told you some nonsense about not to do it because it's not worth it, they don't know what they're talking about. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, people don't do it is because they don't want to seem like a nuisance or a bother. And in the examples that I'm going to give you today of what not to do, don't do these things, right? And you will not be a nuisance or a bother. I'm also going to be sharing some tips on what to do instead. And then finally, some of it is just not knowing what to do or not knowing what to say in the follow-up, so I'll share some tips about that today as well. And if you want me to do more videos about that, let me know. I think we've already done a video on it before, with specific follow-up scripts you can use, so I'll make sure that we link that down below and also up here so you can check it out. But if you want more, just comment and we will give you more. So let's dive into like what not to do. Like, I really need you to stop doing these things when you're following up with people. Thing number one I need you to stop doing is just not following up at all. Let's just start there. I already shared the statistics of why you need to be following up. You're leaving so much freaking money on the table. And I'm about to tell you how to get over that fear of feeling like a nuisance so that you actually start following up with people. Because mistake number one is that people just aren't doing it at all. So here's what you need to realize. Sales is service. And I know that sounds like a total cliche, but it's the truth, right? This person that you spoke with has a problem that needs to be solved, and you have the solution to that problem. Therefore, you need to let them know that that solution exists. And here's the reality. People get busy and people get distracted. So you have to make sure that you are being top of mind. And I have a couple of examples to really illustrate this point. So I was a writer for 8 years. That's what I initially did online. I built a whole brand as a financial expert. I was a financial writer. I did all the things in that realm. And when I was pitching editors to write columns and things like that, I oftentimes had to follow up a lot. I had a column at Inc. I followed up with the editor at that column for 4 months until I finally got the column. And then when I got the column, it was easier to get clients because then suddenly I had the clout of Inc., right? So that's an example. And it's not that they're bad people or they're trying to ignore you or they're trying to ghost you. That's not always the case. Sometimes people are just distracted. In the case of editors, they're under really tight deadlines and they're probably buried under a mountain of emails. So I'm doing them a favor by following up and making sure that I am checking in on that, right? So that's example number one. Here's example number two. I recently owed my dentist $50, right? Because I guess my insurance didn't cover something. They sent me an email being like, hey, your insurance didn't cover it. You know, you got to pay $50, call us, you know, so we can run the payment. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. I forgot to do it. I am a busy woman. I run a business with the team. I have family, I have friends. Paying $50 to my dentist was not top of mind. It's not that I was trying to avoid paying, it just completely slipped my mind. So it took them 3 weeks to finally get that payment. And how many times did they follow up with me in those 3 weeks? Once. One time. They probably could have gotten the money a lot faster, A, if they had some sort of online invoicing system, but that's a story for another time. But B, if they actually stayed on top of me and was like, hey, remember, you got to do this, like I would have appreciated a few more emails, and then I just would have gotten it done, right? So sometimes that happens, and if it happens to you, I'm sure you could think of plenty of examples where that has happened to you in your life, where you're not trying to avoid something, it just slips your mind because you're busy or you're distracted, right? And then you wish someone would have followed up with you about something. Or another example, we recently had Erica Tebbins on the podcast, and she talked about an example about how she really wanted to purchase something. It completely slipped her mind. The business owner sent her a DM and was like, hey, just a reminder, you know, the early bird pricing is going to expire. And then Erica was like, well, thank God they followed up with me because they actually saved me some money. So you're not always being a nuisance if you're following up with people. In reality, you're actually doing them a favor. So what I need you to stop doing is being afraid of following up and just doing it so you can, you know, be of service to people and get paid. All right, so we have a joke in my company, and that company is we don't do basic B sales. We don't. And the reality is not only are most people not following up, they're also, when they do follow up on the rare occasion that they do, it's very basic. So let's have a discussion about how not to be basic when you are following up. So here's what I need you to stop doing. I need you to stop sending only emails. That's all people do, right? They'll send a very basic email that they probably sent to everybody, and it's probably like, hey, just checking in. We'll talk about hey, just checking in a second. Right now, I really just want to focus on the fact that if you're basically like, if you only got one line, if you're a one-trick pony and that one trick is just sending an email, your follow-ups are probably going to get ignored. So one of the things that you're going to want to do instead, right, is you're going to want to put in different ways of following up with people. Try video email. It's super effective. I happen to really like a service called BombBomb for lots of reasons. If you want me to do a tutorial on BombBomb, let me know. Try video text. Actually try picking up the phone. I know in the online business world that's like unheard of, but yes, try picking up the phone and actually calling someone for a follow-up, or send a text message, send a note. When our clients finish our programs, for examples, we will send cards, right? Those are things that they're called going the extra mile. That's what we call it in my company. And they go a really long way in sales follow-up, because then you're hitting different people from different angles. And another thing you can do is you can go find them on social media, because if they're not answering your text message, they'll probably answer your voice note on Facebook or on Instagram. The truth is, we have a plethora of ways to follow up with people, so we really want to start expanding that repertoire, and we want to stop relying on just email. All right, and the third and final thing that I need you to stop doing is to send really generic messages when you're doing follow-up. So in the last tip, I talked about how you need to stop relying only on email. I also need you to stop relying on generic emails or generic anything, really. So what is a generic follow-up? A generic follow-up is like, hey, just checking in. Hey, just following up. Hey, just wanted to see if you got a chance to see this. Hey, you know, that like really passive, like doesn't really say anything and is very easily ignored kind of generic. Here are some things that you're gonna want to try instead. Try sending video testimonials of your clients. If your clients get a huge win and they shared it on social media, get a screenshot, just block out their name, you know, keep their privacy. Even though they did put it on social media, but you'll want to check with your attorney on that. But you know, you could send that to them, right? And be like, hey, look, our clients are getting wins. We know that we can do the same for you. Let's get you enrolled, right? Or another thing that you can do is actually handle their objections. We actually had a client who, you know, she did Persuade to Profit. Now she's in our mastermind. And one of the things that we do is we break down what to say in follow-up. So in this particular instance, the client had gotten a yes from someone who wanted to work with her, and then the person reneged and they were on the fence. Oh, just kidding, we'll be just fine, we'll do this, we'll do that. And they threw like 5 objections at her. She systematically destroyed every single one of those objections in an email, and we go through that kind of an email in Persuade to Profit. But basically, for the sake of simplicity, let's say they said something like, we can't afford it. She'd do the math and she'd be like, well, here's why you can't afford not to hire me. So she would do the math. Or they're like, oh, we're gonna go work with this other person, and she'd be like, well, the person you're gonna go work with, to my knowledge, they can't help you with what you actually need help with. So every single objection that they had, she just kind of addressed every single one of them in her follow-up, and then the person called her immediately right away, and she actually ended up getting more money out of them. Another thing that you can do is you can send video texts, right? You know, for example, I just did that earlier today with a client. A former client of ours got a book deal, and rather than just sending a generic email, I sent her a video text congratulating her. Another thing that you can do is you can send note cards of congratulations when things like that happen. These little things get a lot of attention. And then finally, one of the other things you want to do in follow-up is you want to create some sense of urgency. Sometimes if there's a big change happening, like a price increase, that's like the perfect way to get people to sign up, because they all want to save money, right? Or maybe there's a bonus expiring, or maybe there's a big change coming into the company. The truth is there's a lot of ways to follow up with people, and there's no lack of money in the world. There's just a lack of creativity in the space, but there's lots and lots and lots of ways to do it. And one of my other favorite ways to follow up with people is if I spoke with a prospect and they didn't sign on as a client for whatever reason, and then I happen to have a YouTube video that addresses one of their issues, or I have a video that comes out later that addresses one of their issues, I'll send them the video, right? And I'll be like, this is our free stuff and it's great. Wait until you get into our paid stuff, right? So again, it's being creative with it in order to get people's attention. So I need you to stop being generic and I need you to start being more creative. All right, so those are the things that I need you to stop doing when you're doing sales follow-up. And I also shared some strategies on what to do instead so you actually get some attention and can get some of that mountain of money that you are probably sitting on. And I want to know, out of the new strategies that I shared for you to implement, which ones are you going to be trying this week? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're a woman coach or course creator, I actually did a full free 60-minute in-depth training all about follow-up in my free Facebook group called High Ticket Sales for Women Coaches and Course Creators. So just request to join. We'll put the information up here and also below. Let us know that you came in from this YouTube video and we can tag you in the training that's in the group. And even if you don't want a training all about follow-up, if you're a women coach or course creator, come join us anyway, because we're doing free trainings in there once a week. They're full in-depth 60 minutes with me and my team. And we also have some cool activities that we're planning out throughout the year so we can get you guys all networking with each other. Alright guys, if you liked this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. It's super helpful to us. And if you know anybody who needs help with follow-up, make sure to share this video with them. If you like these videos, if you want more sales training, if you want more online marketing training, if you want more business training, then make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we're working on bringing new videos out every single week to help you slay your sales in your coaching business.